All right, so let's get this out there in the open. If you found yourself more interested in collapsing on the couch with a pint of ice cream than connecting with your partner, burnout might be the culprit. And here's the thing, your body's not trying to sabotage your love life, it's actually doing its best to protect you. But the result, your libido is MIA. And it's not about to come back until we do something about it. So let's get real for a second. How many of you have been so tired, so stressed, that even thinking about sex just feels like another thing on your to-do list? Yeah, thought so. Hey, I'm Tara Kermiet, your burnout and balance coach, and I'm happy you popped in today. This channel's all about helping overachievers stay balanced and badass with practical tips, a dose of humor, and a little tough love that we all need. So, if you're looking to simplify your schedule, set boundaries, and build sustainable habits that create the breathing room you need, you're in the right place, my friend. Hit subscribe and let's get you living your best life. So, when I was deep in my burnout cycle, I didn't even notice how much it was affecting everything else in my personal life. My partner and I had basically slipped into this roommates with benefits situation, except if I'm being honest, the benefits weren't exactly happening anymore. It wasn't really a sudden thing either. It wasn't like one day we went from passion and intimacy to cold, disconnected roommates. It was more like this gradual fade where the stress from work kind of slowly took over. And it was leaving me too drained to even think about connecting. There was just nothing left in the tank, if I'm being honest, for anything else. And one night after a particularly rough day, my partner gently asked if everything was okay, mentioning that I just seemed kind of off. And that sure was a punch in the gut. I'd been so wrapped up in my own stress bubble that I hadn't even realized how distant I'd become. I wasn't showing up in my relationship the way I used to or the way I wanted to. And it was really a wake up call for sure for me. And it wasn't just about sex, though, trust me, that part had taken a hit too. It was about the fact that I had let burnout seep into every aspect of my life without even realizing it. I was so busy trying to keep everything at work from falling apart that I didn't notice what was crumbling at home. The disconnection, the lack of intimacy, and the way we were just kind of going through the motions, it all stemmed from the same place, burnout. And that's the thing about stress and burnout. They're sneaky little devils that affect way more than just your workday. They creep into your evenings, your weekends, and right into your relationships. It's not that you're too tired for intimacy, it's that you're too drained to even want it, too consumed by the stress to even think about anything else. And suddenly, what used to come naturally feels like one more task, one more thing you just can't find the energy for. When you're in the middle of it, you don't realize how burnout is just chipping away at those important parts of your life. It's not until someone points it out, like my partner did, that you step back and kind of go, well, shit, this isn't just about work anymore. It's about everything. And that was my turning point. The moment I knew I couldn't keep ignoring the fact that burnout had invaded my life in ways that I had never expected. And if you're feeling something similar, trust me, you're not alone. Burnout isn't just a work problem, it's a life problem. Now let's break it down to what's actually going on when you're burned out. Your body, it's not exactly in romance mode when you're constantly stressed. It's in full-on survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, the first thing to go out the window is your sex drive. Why? Because your body's smart. It's wired to prioritize staying alive over anything else. It does not care about intimacy when it's convinced that you're in some kind of danger, even if that danger is just the stress of your boss breathing down your neck. And here's where it gets a little interesting and a little frustrating. When you're stressed, your body is like pumping out cortisol like crazy, which is the hormone that helps you handle stress. But you see, cortisol doesn't play nicely with the hormones responsible for your libido, like estrogen and testosterone. So while you're sitting there, working late and trying to juggle a million things, your body is busy thinking, okay, we're in danger here. We've just got to stay alive. And staying alive doesn't involve getting frisky. It's about survival, pure and simple. But that's not all. Burnout leaves you mentally and emotionally drained too. By the time you've dragged yourself through another stressful day at work, dealt with whatever life has thrown at you, and maybe even taking care of the kids, your husband or wife, your household chores, you're tapped out. There's literally nothing left in the tank for your relationship. It's no wonder that when your partner gives you that look, you know what I'm talking about, you're already thinking of excuses to get you out of it. But it's not about not wanting to connect. It's about not having literally the capacity to connect. When you've given every ounce of your energy to your job, to handling stress, to just surviving, how in the hell are you supposed to have anything left for your relationship? That's burnout, plain and simple. It doesn't just leave you feeling exhausted after a long day. It quite literally steals the energy and emotional bandwidth you'd normally save for the people closest to you. And it's a vicious cycle, isn't it? The more stressed you are, the more cortisol you're producing, the more cortisol, the less your body cares about intimacy, and the more disconnected you feel, the more it affects your relationship, which only adds to your stress. It's all linked. And if you don't recognize what's going on, you're stuck in that burnout sex drive spiral until something gives. But don't worry, I'm not just here to tell you how bad things are. You know me, I'm all about solutions, and there are some things that you can do right now to start turning this around. And let's start with the least sexy topic out there, rest. I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it. See what I did there? But if you're running on empty, there is no way your sex drive is going to bounce back. You've got to prioritize rest the same way you prioritize your work. I'm talking about setting actual boundaries here. That means turning off the laptop at a reasonable hour. And no, I'm not talking about closing it at 11 p.m. after a full day of working. I mean actually shutting down your workday at a time that allows you to wind down, to decompress, and to have a few moments to breathe before you pass out in bed. You are not a machine. You're a human, and humans need time to recharge. And if you're constantly on, it's no surprise that your body is saying, nah, I'm good when it comes to intimacy. And can we please stop checking emails at night? Seriously. Nothing kills a mood faster than getting sucked into work mode when you should be winding down or winding up in a good way. I don't care how urgent that email feels. If it can wait until tomorrow, it should. You need that mental separation between work and home life, and constantly being plugged into your inbox is doing the exact opposite. Remember, boundaries aren't just about protecting your time. They're also about protecting your energy too. And we all know sleep is another biggie. I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but it's worth repeating. Your body cannot perform physically, mentally, or emotionally if it's exhausted. You can't expect to feel energized and ready for connection if you're surviving on 5 hours of sleep constantly and living on caffeine. Your body's operating in survival mode, and as we've already covered, survival mode does not include sexy time. It includes conserving energy for the basics, like keeping you upright and functioning. You can't expect your body to perform in any way if it's exhausted. It's about playing the long game here. You have to recharge. It's non-negotiable. Now, the next thing, you've got to talk to your partner about this. Seriously, I know it's not the easiest conversation to have, but it's one that needs to happen. If burnout is affecting your libido, don't keep it to yourself and hope it'll just magically fix itself. I mean, your partner is probably already noticing something's up. Trust me, they're not sitting there thinking that it must be the spreadsheets or work keeping y'all apart. They can feel the disconnection, and if you don't address it, they might start thinking it's something else entirely. And that can lead to some unnecessary tension, confusion, or even hurt feelings. So, as awkward as it might feel, have the conversation. Let them know what's going on and that it's not about them, it's about the stress that you're carrying around. You don't need to over explain it or apologize for how you're feeling. Just lay it out there. You'll probably be surprised how much pressure that simple conversation can take off. By opening up, you're giving them the opportunity to understand what's going on instead of leaving them in the dark, confused, or maybe even thinking they did something wrong. Plus, you'll likely find that once the air is cleared, it actually creates space for more emotional intimacy, which is something burnout often steals from us without us even realizing it too. And hey, intimacy doesn't have to mean jumping straight back into bed and expecting everything to feel like it did before burnout set in. Sometimes it's about finding those smaller, quieter moments of connection that remind you why you're in this relationship in the first place. I mean, think about it. When was the last time that you just held hands with your partner? Like, really held hands without being distracted by a phone or thinking about what's going on your to do list. Intimacy isn't always just about sex. It's about feeling connected and valued in ways that don't necessarily have to lead to the bedroom. Sometimes it's about building trust and closeness in small, everyday moments, whether that's sharing a meal together, giving a genuine compliment, or simply spending time in the same space, truly present with each other. Those moments matter. And the more you create those small, consistent pockets of connection, the easier it'll be to feel close again in all the other ways too. The bottom line is that burnout is real and it's going to keep dragging you down until you do something about it. You deserve to feel connected, energized, and dare I say sexy again. If burnout is stealing all of that from you, let's talk. Your first coaching session with me is free and I want to help you feel like yourself again, both at work and at home. I'll add the link to the description below so you can get your session scheduled right away. Burnout might be messing with your libido, but it doesn't have to stay that way. So thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode hit home for you, or maybe you know someone who's been feeling the effects of burnout, share this with them. We've got to stop pretending burnout is just part of life and start doing something about it. Until next time, stay balanced, stay badass, and make good choices, friend. I'll see you next week.